Welcome back to Man of Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, as we see what's going on a lovely episode of a lovely island of Fawnhallow today. Yeah, it's a bit of a later episode than usual because I was busy earlier in the day, and this might be the point where you go like, don't you usually record something in the morning if you know you're going to be busy later in the day? And well, it was more like I was busy in the morning, I suppose. Honestly, I could have recorded this like a couple of hours ago or something, but this felt right, this felt like the time for it to, I don't know, come to life. Well, I don't really know where I'm going with this, I'm going to be honest, but good evening, everyone. Right now in Fawnhollow, it's 9:23 PM on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022. I can always count on Isabel to bail me out of a terrible conversation starter or something in the beginning of these videos. But yeah, what should I talk about today? I'm not sure what to talk about. I went out, with a couple of friends and that sort of thing. Went to a park. Well, it's not the park, it is a park, I should say. And it's actually a park which had like a canal running through it. And it's a very interesting sort of canal because, well, it's not actually that interesting. It's kind of like a normal canal. Canals aren't, I don't know how particularly common they are in the UK, but certainly this was one of them. Again, I don't really know what I'm trying to say with this. But anyway, it sort of just got me thinking about sort of like I don't want to say like the moderns or modern engineering, but sort of like the ingenuity that people have to design sort of systems which are created to get things running smoothly, like stuff for this canal. And you might be like, what on earth are you talking about? Well, but this is one part of the canal where you can use lift company. Oh yeah, sure, fauna. Oh, come on over. There's this one part of the canal which maybe I'll put a hold on this conversation for now while we actually speak about fauna's thing, and mainly so I can get my thoughts in order. What am I trying to say about this canal? I don't know. Oh, you wanted to come to my house. I thought you invited us to your house. Thanks for letting me visit. You like this, dearie? Come on in. There's not really much to say. I've got random stuff on the ground. It's a complete mess, but here we go. I have a little gift for you. I'm really hoping that you'll like it. I think it's... Oh, what is it? A layer tank. It seems like something that you might like, dearie. Aw, thank you, Fauna. I very much appreciate it. Adding even just one plant to a room makes it feel more alive. I think having one in your home makes the air smell fresher too. What about this grass flooring? Can you get more alive than literally having your entire carpet, I suppose, covered in grass? Actually, this is the thing I wanted when I was younger, is I wanted like a carpet which sort of mimicked, not the effect of grass, but like sort of like the idea of grass and itself. So it's like I wanted grass basically in my room, but not actual grass and soil, because you can't really, one, that would be absolute terrible upkeep, and also two, that would be an absolute nightmare to deal with. I think I feel like this moment really goes with a game, dearie, don't you? Absolutely. Let's play high card, low card, the one game that every person in Fawnhollow knows. Okay, so if you guess right, you'll win my maid dress. Okay. Now let's get started. I feel like it's a very personal item I'm taking for you, but sure. First, I'll draw one of these cards. The first card is a 6, so now I draw another card. The card is drawn, dearie. So what do you think? Higher or lower? Lower? Let's see if you're right. Oh, it's a lot lower. 1. You guessed right. I would expect no less from you. Alright, time to receive your prize. A maid dress. Fair enough, Fauna. I don't know what your insinuations are here, but I'll gladly accept a gift. Wow, don't you just love that game? Thanks for playing, dearie. I also heard a thing that if you walk to different rooms, sometimes the villagers will follow you, or maybe they won't. There's some way to get villagers to tour like different rooms. Oh, hello, go. There you go. Sometimes it doesn't work. I feel like it feels so professional here. I think that's because of your wall clock. It makes it seem like somewhere that a lot of work is getting done. But the bathroom? Now I'm looking at this, I should really start like recustomizing my rooms. What is this mess? I can do a lot better in this, especially with the advent of Happy in Paradise. I love what you've done in here. This room just has so much of your personality in it. I don't really know if this is a compliment or not, Fauna. What if I go to Oh, I also heard that villagers have a special dialogue if you take them to a place where you've hung up their photo. So we'll go up here and we'll see if Fauna notices the fact that we've actually put her photo on the wall here, along with like so many other people's. Oh, why have I done this? I forgot that I've done this, but whatever. It doesn't matter what their age is, anyone would be jealous of your puppy plushie. Things that are so well made also make for nice decorations. It's a gift that gifts keeps on giving, dearie. This is like for a thing ages ago where I had like a little event in Animal Crossing for my friend to block access to the upstairs. Do you like to cook? My dad takes a lot of pride in his cooking, so I feel closer to him when I'm making meals. Sorry for getting all sentimental. I just like to hope I take after him. I'm sure you do, Fawn. I'm sure he was a great man. Can you give me a tour? I would love to see more of your decorating skills at work, dearie. Sure? I guess we'll go to different rooms? I'm not sure if it's because I've never actually directly spoken with the villagers before, but I don't think we've ever asked for a tour. I feel like this back room is the only one which is like even moderately reasonably decorated, isn't it? I don't really remember. Why have I used this wallpaper? It's a bit much, but here you go. What do you think of this? So you like Zen-themed furniture? What a relaxing looking style. I'm inspired by the look. I hope you don't mind if I try it out in my home. Sure. Do you want this name? I wouldn't say Zen furniture is particularly the style. It's a bit of a mishmash of everything, isn't it? Your mum's plushie is completely adorable. You can really feel that love that went into making it. Yes. My mum is a lovely person. You gonna come in? You know, make yourself comfortable. Just an incredibly random lamp in the middle of my room. What do you think about that? I really love the style of your cute floor lamp. It's great that you like the same kind of cheery fun that I'm drawn towards. Aww. Fauna's such a sweetheart. She's just standing there. It's so unnerving when we just sort of stand there afterwards. Well, I don't know if you want to see literally every room in the house. So I guess this is a bit of a strange house tour. You know, it's a bit of a diversion from a conversation I was having, Fauna. I don't remember doing this. I assume because this was a special thing, you know, for that friend's birthday, sort of like scavenger hunt thing. But, you know, without anything hanging on the wall, you can truly appreciate what wallpaper does for a room. How interesting, dearie. How interesting indeed. Is that enough for you, Fauna? Probably. I decorated that room with birthday stuff because it was his birthday. But I also didn't allow him to go to that room, it seems. So, you know, I completely forgot I did that. Or maybe I decorated it for my birthday. Ready to go, dearie? Sorta, yeah. Okay, I should be getting going too. Time flies when you're having fun. Thanks again for inviting me here. You're welcome, Fauna. You know, there's a strange situation overall, but, you know, thank you for coming. I'll go about that business. Yeah, we went, by river. Oh yeah, the feat of modern. Well, it's not even a modern feat of engineering. It's actually, you know, uses quite old technology, I see. But it's a thing where it's basically like I don't remember what they're called off the top of my head. But it's like an elevator, a water elevator. Well, hold on, what are they called in canals? Canal water elevator. Do they have a name? Boat lift. They're called boat lifts. Alternative to a canal lock. What's a canal lock? Wait, no, it was a canal lock. Wait, what's a boat lift? Oh, boat lift is like a huge, like, okay. It was not a boat lift. This was not that big a river. It was a canal lock. Or lock of water navigation. Basically what it is when there's two different areas of a river with different water depths and heights. I don't know why there were different water depths or whatever, and I also need to open up my notepad so I can see which plaza clock is where we're starting at. I don't know why they were at different heights, but there was basically one like really tall part of a river, and then like one like really quite a bit lower part of a water. So there was a difference of like, I don't know, 2 meters, 3 meters in between them in water heights. I don't know how that ends up happening, but I assume it's because there used to be like a waterfall esque structure there, and this sort of lock was. Oh, we don't need to buy this. I definitely have this. The lock was built to sort of I think I have it, but we'll buy another one of these just in case. Was built so boats could actually traverse this waterfall thing without it being, you know, boats can't normally sort of drive up waterfalls and that thing. And when we went there, we sat there, we chatted for a bit. We actually saw someone who I think I have this, but I'm gonna buy this anyway. He had his boat, and he took his boat through the river. And basically, you know, it was just him. Round topiary. I didn't actually have a conversation with him because, you know, I was just chatting with my friends or friend at the time, and it was kind of cool to see. It was just him. He had a very packed boat. He had a huge amount of potted plants on his boat. It was actually quite cool. not gonna lie. And it was just him sort of like going through a lock, and I was like, oh, I haven't actually seen anyone actually go through these lock. I just, you know, kind of know how they work from like geography lessons or, you know, random exposure to them. But you know, there's these giant like wooden. It basically, like, if you've never seen them, it looks like a giant wooden gate. It's 2 pairs of giant wooden gates, forming like a sort of triangle where the water sort of slowly runs through. And basically, once you're in between the pair of wooden gates, you can change the water level. So what happens was, you know, he was going through. He was from the low area and he was trying to go through to the high area, and the part of the lock in the middle was already high, so he had to let the low part drain. But of course, you don't let it drain by just opening the gate. For one, that'd be incredibly difficult. And in actuality, now I just think about it, I think my lock is the gates are designed in such a way, at least. Which I couldn't figure out why at the moment, but now I realise they basically form like a pointed arrow, pointing against the river flow, and that's probably so people don't accidentally just sort of like open the lock gates and like unleash a huge torrent of water down the river, causing a lot of problems for, I know, I guess not flora and fauna necessarily, but like all the creatures, you know, downriver, or, you know, like accidentally like flooding and overflowing the river and causing damage to the integrity of the banks along the side of the river. I don't know. So that's why the chevrons are pointed that way. So what you're meant to do is there's like these screws on the gate which open up these like mini vents near the bottom of the gate, which allow water to go through and slowly sort of equalize the water. So, you know, he opened it for the gate from the lock to the low area, and, you know, drained all that water from that to the low area. So now, you know, the water level is equal to the lower boat level. You know, he opened up the gates. And the gates were interesting as well because they're on this like giant pivot system. I don't know how to describe them except for they're like sort of meat cleaver shaped, and there's 2 of them set up like pinball. What are they called? Pinball levers, handles, arms. Just as I said, pointing against the flow of current in the river, and he had to, you know, sort of like push them to lever them open. But it was very interesting to see because they were like these giant. Actually, were they pointed that way or were they pointed the other way? I feel like, now I think about it, maybe they were pointed in the direction of the river, which seems a bit counter to the way they should be. I would have thought they'd be pointed the other way to prevent them accidentally opening, but then I guess now I think about it, it doesn't make sense because now they'd be like nearly impossible to open, like pushing against the flow of the river. But yeah, they were pointing downstream of that sort of thing. And what you're meant to do is, like, as I say, it's a meat cleaver, sort of like pivoted around just the start of a handle, you know, like exact midpoint of a cleaver is how I describe them. Or you could just look them up yourself, it'll probably be a lot easier description. But basically, you know, he had to spin it around that pivot of that sort of thing, and there were like these like metal like ridges or bumps, I suppose, in the ground for him to get like leverage on. So he sort of like sat on it, I suppose, backwards, and sort of walked backwards, using catching his feet on the ridges on the ground to actually, you know, get some sort of leverage, get some sort of friction going to actually push against. And I was like, that's what an interesting, like, you know, design. But he had to do that, and there was a bridge nearby where he had to, you know, cross again and do the same on the other side. And there were actually explicit signs on the lock gates being like, yo, don't climb across these. But of course they did it anyway because, you know, they're kind of sort of like, they've been doing this for years, you know, they kind of know. There's probably just like more like a heed my warning to, like, you know, the general populace who might just randomly walk across it for really no apparent reason except for fun. Also, there were some random guys just jumping in the river just by the fact it said don't jump into the river, but, you know, again, I assume they're kind of like experienced with this and just, you know, we're doing it for a bit of fun anyway, and who really knows. Anyway, so once you're in the middle of a lock gate, you had to re-level the water again up to the highest point. So, you know, he closed the gate, he locked it up, but he had like a special tool to do it as well. So I guess, you know, if you want to sort of go along that canal, that sort of thing, you need to have these special tools to, you know, I guess that's like, that comes with your sort of permit for bringing your boat into the canal. And I don't really know how else you get your boat into the canal except for, I guess, by car. I don't really know much about rivers, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, he had to equalise it, so he has to do the same thing on the other side. It took a good while, you know, and then I don't know, I'd guess it took about 15 minutes in total to actually get through to the other side. But it's very interesting, you know. It was fun to watch at the same time. You know, I was sort of fascinated by it the entire time. And you know, it makes you think of like physics concepts, you know, pressure of of a liquid at a certain depth, etc., etc. Because he was, you know, obviously someone who's familiar with boats, and he was talking to someone else who was basically trying to go the other way. And they were having a nice sort of conversation. I didn't really say much, I just went like afternoon to them, you know, when we were not right way. You know, then I proceeded to no longer look at them, so it was like not so weird, but I was just staring at the not a situation, but the, what's the word? The events that were unfolding. It was just sort of fascinating to watch. Yeah, because they were having a conversation, being like, it starts off filling up really fast, but then it slows down, and then, you know, in my brain I was just like, it's because of just like pressure, just due to, you know, a depth of a liquid. The pressure differential is much higher at the beginning, because of course you've got like this huge body of water, and then, I forgot what I was saying, huge body of water pushing into nothing, you know, big pressure differential, and then, you know, as the water starts filling up and it starts like covering up the vents and the gates of that sort of thing, the pressure differential gets closer and closer, you know, sort of rounds out. I don't know why I've talked about this as if I know exactly what I'm talking about. Of course I don't. You know, that turns out maybe I was entirely wrong. I don't really know. I'm not really an expert when it comes to rivers or boating or anything of that sort. I just, you know, was sort of interested by, you know, the process of it in the first place. I was like, cool, you know, that's not something you see every day. It was also incredibly hot today, is what I can certainly say. There were people, you know, playing by the little stream, by the little river, you know, by the bridge. That was about it. It was just incredibly hot, which is why I needed a lot more water, I suppose, because otherwise I would have like totally dehydrated if I wasn't careful. You know what was also, you know, interesting? I say take another sip of water. Is I actually ordered the first thing I've ever ordered from Starbucks today. And you might be like, what? You've never ordered anything from Starbucks? No. As I say before, I don't drink coffee. I do drink tea, but the tea I just like brew myself at home. I've never gone to... No, the only coffee shop I've ever been to, or cafe I suppose I've ever been to, was one in Japan. But it was kind of like quite a big cafe. It was like a breakfast cafe. It's not like a UK cafe. It's like a cafe where you get like pancakes and, you know, waffles, etc., those sort of things. But this is the first time I ever ordered something from Starbucks. And you might be like, haven't you had a drink from Starbucks? I have had a drink from Starbucks before, but it was bought by someone else. It was bought by a friend. As a thanks for like a Japanese assessment, because we had a speaking assessment together. That's about basically it. And I remember he asked me, he was like, oh, what drink would you like from Starbucks? Let me buy you something as a thank you. And I'm like, I literally have never been to Starbucks before. I have no idea what they have, but I don't drink coffee. I drink tea. Buy me anything like that. And he got me like an iced tea or something. It was alright. That's what I say. And, you know, I went to Starbucks this time because, you know, my friend wanted to go to Starbucks, and I was like, alright, I guess I'll buy something. I don't know. You might be like, what did you order? I ordered a grande iced green tea. How was it? It was okay, is what I'd say. You know, it wasn't like mind-blowing or anything. It was just an iced green tea, which is, you know, generally what I think about most things when I eat food or drinks. I'm just like, you know, it has to be really mind-blowing for me to be like, wow, this is good. Most of the time I'm just sort of like, yep, seems good enough for me. Is it edible? Check. Done. That's all I need. So, you know, I'm not like in a huge hurry to go back to Starbucks or anything like that. What local missions can we even do at this sort of time? Do they even give us impossible ones? Fish. Char? I'm not doing that. Deep sea creatures customize growth-free trees. Okay. I guess we'll have a chat with all our villagers as we walk by. Yeah, so the river lock was an interesting thing. I don't know, there's a lot of interesting things about rivers, isn't it? It's a surprising part about, you know, physical geography, which it was always interesting, I suppose. You know, there's different parts of physical geography you learn about, right? You learn about tectonic plates, you learn about rivers, you learn about, literally, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, maybe like mountain formations, no climates, you learn about different like biomes and that sort of thing. I thought rivers was always like, you know, I think people underrate rivers because it seems like the most boring, I suppose, of all of the physical geography things you learn. I think formations of rivers are always very interesting. You know, how they meander because of a helicoidal flow, because of the erosion of types of river, you know, hydraulic action where there's high pressure, and then things like attrition, abrasion, corrosion, I think. Something like that. I for some reason remember all these river processes in my head, off the top of my head, for really not much reason, and I'm going to be honest. What else happens? And rivers, and they meander about, and then, you know, oxbow lakes form because the meanders get like more and more extreme until like a flash flood happens, or a sudden like surge of water volume through the river, which, you know, cuts across the shortcut, which makes it a much more efficient path for water to go down, leaving what is an oxbow lake at the end. So there you go. If you either of you got some sort of geography exam coming up soon. Actually, I think it's around GCSE times. I don't know if geography's already happened for all the exam boards, but there you go. There's your revision for oxbow lakes. I can't really say I know much else about them. But yeah, no, waterlogs were never particularly described, I suppose, in my geography GCSE. I was trying to think of the rest of that sentence. I literally couldn't think of what I was talking about. I don't know, it was just kind of cool to see the process, you know. Obviously, you know, there's one thing about, like, knowing exactly what's going to happen, or even if you aren't an expert about something, you can kind of basically figure out exactly what how these things are used, etc, etc, etc. But then, you know, actually seeing it being put into practice, especially by this guy, he was just like, you know, a solo traveller on a boat. He's got his own boat. I assume he lives in his boat. I don't actually know if that's true. I just kind of assumed, and maybe that's rude of me to assume. But, you know, he just vibing out his boat. You know his experience. He looks like he's, you know, had a few years or something on water. I'm trying to think how else to say it. He kind of looked like a sea captain, is probably how I describe him. You know, people just having like a casual chat or whatever. It was just nice, you know. Like, it was in a place that I've been to, not many times, but like a couple of times before, I think. But, you know, never actually walked past the actually canal part of the river. It was cool. I don't know. I always wonder about it because it's a very I wonder if it's a very sort of like narrow location. You know, would I ever want to live like on a river? Because I've seen a lot of people who have like riverboats and that sort of thing. You know, you used to live in still live by like some rivers, but you know, all the times for my life I've been near rivers. I don't really know what else to say. Well, that's not necessarily true, but still. I've seen a lot of people in like riverboats and that sort of thing. Never actually. No, I have been inside one, I think, but I don't really remember it all too well. But I don't think I've ever actually known someone personally who's, you know, lives in a riverboat or anything, like a river house. Sorry, a boathouse. That's what I wanted to say. That's the word. Seems interesting. Seems like it'd be a little bit like, not sickening necessarily, but a little bit disorientating at the same time, with all the sort of bobbing up and down with the tide and flow. I don't really know if that's the sort of life I would want or live for, especially with like as much as I appreciate the waterlock for being not like a marvel or modern engineering, but like a creative, I suppose, solution to a problem. It does seem like it would be a real big hassle, being like, oh, you know, I want to travel upstream or downstream or for whatever reason, and then, you know, I just got to wait this long time for like this lock to fill up and then to drain again or whatever. I don't know. It seems like a bit of a nuisance, but maybe it really isn't. I suppose you sort of like, that's a sort of like the give and take you have. What are you? Oh, I thought you were holding a cross on. I was like, that's new. Never seen her hold a cross on before. But yeah, I suppose that's sort of like the give and take you have a boathouse. You sort of just like get used to it. You know that's what you're kind of signing up for in the first place. So you're just like, you know, this is just sort of par for the course, isn't it? Of course, it's going to be like that because, you know, that's what I wanted. You know, or I guess alternatively, you can live in like a river or canal which never has like any sort of elevation changes in the first place, which maybe that would work. I don't really know, to be honest. I mean, it's not like UK's mountainous or any. Well, you know, I guess Scotland is quite mountainous, but UK has its hilly areas certainly. I think it'd be quite hard to avoid, I suppose, any sort of changes in elevation whatsoever. But I'm sure that exists. You know, places where rivers are quite flat. Actually, maybe that's not necessarily true. Because if rivers are entirely flat, then wouldn't they never like actually have any urge to go downwards from high elevation to low elevation, which is kind of what rivers do, is like, you know, for act of gravity, it just becomes like a lock or a lake, I suppose, at that point. I don't know. You know what? Bring that Wikipedia article open again, because, you know, I've kind of run out of things to talk about for a waterlock, you know. But there's only so much I can talk about for like one 15-minute snapshot of my day. But, you know, let's see when waterlocks were invented. Well, distinguishing is a fixed chamber in which a water level can be varied, yes. I mean, it's a thing which happens in the Panama Canal? I forget. Yeah, I mean it's quite common in a lot of canals, to be honest. Is, you know, sort of raise and lower boats in general. It's a clear night. I wonder if we'll get any shooting stars. I wonder if we should wait and see if we get any. We might as well wait because I've got nothing else to talk about, to be honest. Locks are used to make a river more easily navigable. I don't think I've ever seen this word before. I thought it would be navigatable, but it is navigable. What on earth?
Navigable.
Navigable. Deep enough and wide enough to afford passage to ships. Okay. I'm surprised it's not navigatable, but it's navigable. Later canals use more and larger locks to allow a more direct route to be taken. And there's a load of picture of locks over here. Yeah, it kind of looked like it was one of a river Neckar in Germany. Of course, a lot smaller scale. Grand Union Canal at Marsworth in Hertfordshire, England. Didn't look like this. It was a two-sided one. Actually, that looks like a really deep one. Very sort of British countryside-esque. Oh, like another one in England. There's one of a Three Gorges dam? Oh, it's huge, my word. Basic construction and operation. Bottom gate, top gate, culverts. Look at how much engineering went into this. Principle for operating a pound lock. The boat enters the lock. The lower gates are closed. The lock is filled with water from upstream. The upper gates are open. The boat exits the lock. You know, okay, you know, all very standard stuff. Basically how I described it. What is this one? This is the tightest canal lock I've ever seen. This boat has no room to move. Which I guess is kind of a point, isn't it? It must be annoying if you have like a really short one, isn't it? What? A windlass? Oh, if this was it. A windlass. Maybe. On the cheapskate and a higher canal, the lock keepers were required to remove the windlasses from all lock paddles at night to prevent unauthorized use. Is that it? It was a thing. Like I noticed he had like a wrench-like thing to actually operate this thing and unlock stuff in the first place. I found it intriguing. Double or paired or twinned locks. What on earth is going on? I didn't know there was so much to say about these sort of things. This is crazy. There's literally so much information about these water locks. Who would have thunk it? Oh, this one's a different one. A pound lock. A turfside lock. There's different types of lock. What on earth? Water saving basins? Cassion lock. It goes underwater? What? That is cool as heck. I didn't know there were so many types of lock. You know what? There you go. Water slope. What? I don't even know. This is cool, honestly. And I didn't know there were so many different types of water transportation for river, but you know, you can spend a whole day, I suppose, reading up about those. But I'm not going to, because I'm going to round off this episode here, because I really don't have anything else to say about it. But you know, go read that Wikipedia article if you're so inclined. But anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Any likes, comments, subscription, shares, I greatly appreciate it. Join me Dear Darling Discord, follow me on Twitter down below. Hope we see each other again, but for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now.